This is the SkyGuys podcast. My name is Morgan.
And this is Nate.
And we're here to finish off the Phantom Menace episode that we started last week. And we're looking forward to doing so. We got past the pod racing scene. So we're going to pick right up where we left off from there. But beforehand, we got a couple things to talk about. First off, hoping everything has been going good in your lives within the past week. Always trying to stay on the up and up, stay positive, look at the glass half full, and always do what you can and make with what you can with what you got. So with that being said, we're going to be trying to finish off the Phantom Menace in this episode. That's from the scenes after the pod racing scene onwards. But beforehand, Nate is going to go ahead and take us away with some general news.
Okay, we're going to go into general news, and to kick this off, if any of y'all are here for our introduction episode, y'all remember us talking about the possibility of Mayfield replacing Cara Dunes' character arc in the Mandalorian show. But now there's a new rumor coming out that it might be Hera from Rebels. Right. And I would absolutely love this. I would love to see Hera take this spot. She's already a well-developed character from that show, and then bring her in because we don't really know what happens to her after the end of Rebels. We kind of know what's going on with the ones that were left. We know about Ahsoka, and we sort of know Ezra's fate, but we don't really know what happened with Hera. So that'd be cool, interesting to pick that up.
Now, not to go too far into it, though, with Hera's fate, see, I'm not the most familiar because I still need to finish off Rebels and everything. I've only picked and choose episodes in between. But as far as Hera's fate, we do see her make a cameo in Star Wars Squadrons. She is one of the actual generals that leads the Republic. So with that being said, from what I've understood, her fate isn't sealed through that either. So, whatever, it's definitely open-ended. So to have her show up in The Mandalorian, she's definitely been within, recent years, been very well accepted amongst, fans, and from being a Ranger herself and actually being, actually involved with the Republic's movement and everything, or the Rangers movement. I think that would be perfect, and in my opinion, maybe even better than Mayfield replacing the.
I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely.
So, tell us what you think, guys, because that would be quite interesting to see. Would you rather have Peter Mayfield or would you rather have Hera? Is it Hera Syndulla?
Syndulla, yep, that's right.
Okay.
And you mentioned Squadrons. What exactly is that in the timeline?
I believe it's literally right post events of episode 6, like right after the second Death Star has been destroyed.
Okay.
And
that's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Now I may be wrong, but from everything I've went into it, that I'm pretty sure that's the timeline that we're looking at for Squadrons.
Yeah, and I know that she was name dropped in Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Was she?
Yeah, she was name dropped over at the Rebel base. She was called over the, I guess in layman's terms, intercom.
Right. Okay.
Captain Syndulla to somewhere, but I remember
so
I was like, oh, that's so cool. But if we actually get a live action version of her, I would be really, really happy and excited with that.
Yes, for sure.
But let us know what y'all think. If y'all would love to see Hera in Mandalorian or Rangers of the Republic, whichever one, or multiple, what she might appear in. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So we're going to kick it off next segment since we're wrapping this up here, and I think we're going to go into the Phantom Menace next. So stick around. All right, guys, we are ending the Phantom Menace on this episode, and we're going to pick up right where we left off, as mentioned before. And we picked up we're going to pick up right when Qui-Gon and Anakin are heading back to the ship, and they get a dark surprise. So
yes,
why don't you take it away, my friend? And
a very, very dark surprise, to say the least. Very great way to put it. So Anakin and Qui-Gon are, rapidly making their approach towards the ship to get back onto the ship and then head to Coruscant. because that's where they've been trying to get to this entire time with the pod race and everything. But, with all these sequences of events, I finally led them to get the part they need to get back onto their ship and then head to Coruscant. But like you said, there's a dark surprise waiting for them. The Sith apprentice himself, my favorite, Darth Maul, is waiting for them. He's been watching this entire time ever since, basically they stepped foot on Tatooine. He wasn't far behind them. So he's been watching, he's been waiting patiently, not only within these moments, but within the past, let's say like 10 years. He's been training, waiting for this moment. And now he's finally found Qui-Gon, and he sees Anakin from a distance, and he nearly takes him out. If it wasn't for Qui-Gon calling it out, Anakin ducked, Darth Maul comes through, and which leads us to our first saber battle within the Skywalker saga. This is very important, not only because of that right there, what I said, but it's actually the first, let's say, documented sabered battle within hundreds of years within the Star Wars, but at least between a Sith and a Jedi, formal Sith and Jedi. So this has been hundreds of years in the making up to this one confrontation, or at least it was bound to happen at some point, someplace, sometime. And Maul had tracked him down and found Qui-Gon. Now, when he finds Maul, of course, if you are familiar with the character, Maul likes to utilize the double-bladed saber. But when he shows up, he's cloaked, he's hooded, and he's looking just to walk down Qui-Gon. So with that business being said, he only emits the one saber, and he has Qui-Gon on the back foot for, let's be honest, like as far as the element of surprise, the Sith, planned this quite well. And Qui-Gon was, completely on the back foot and had nothing to do but actually retreat. He literally, he had a couple parries back and forth, but he was having to move backwards. He was having to study the situation that was before him because, even as knowledgeable and intelligent as Qui-Gon is, he's smart enough to realize I got to get the heck out of here. When this horned, red-faced, yellow-eyed, demon-looking character with Sith sabers, definitely Sith-oriented, is after him. So, which leads Qui-Gon and Anakin to just barely and narrowly escape the clutches of Darth Maul, which Maul the whole time just stoic and determined. It's just a matter of time before Maul finds them. So it's no big deal. He knows he'll catch up to him eventually. So where do they go after that? They've escaped Maul. Where does it lead them? They go to Coruscant.
They get back to Coruscant, and we're just going to hop into the part where they take Anakin before the council here.
Mm-hmm. Very, very important.
Because Qui-Gon is of the opinion that Anakin is the chosen one, which is the prophecy that is going to bring balance back to the Force.
Right.
Now, due to his high midi-chlorian count, his abilities, he is dead set on this theory.
Qui-Gon is head over heels for this idea. He wants it, just probably more than anyone at this point.
Absolutely. And he brings them before the council. They do some tests, and they decide to not train him, which I always thought it was a bit surprising. Like, why not just train him? He's a little older, but
that's all they did. They based it off the fact that he was older than the age of an official youngling, which I guess would be, what age is a youngling anyways? Between like 5 and 8,
Yeah, like I mean, I didn't think. I mean, is there like a hard written rule? Right. That they have to be a certain age? That's kind of what I wanted to know. Like, are they really just following like to a T type of criteria?
Which Anakin during these events is 9.
9, correct? Yep.
Okay, so he's not too far from the mark, but I guess at that time, the rules are rules, and the reason they have structure is to to keep it balanced. So, but as you're about to say, Qui-Gon, basically says, you know what, I'm going to take the responsibility. And I'm going to do this on my own. So you guys, okay, whatever. You guys don't want to, you guys don't, I don't have your guys' approval, but at least you can approve the fact that I'm going to, train him. And they're like, okay, fine. Well, Qui-Gon, you're really, really cool. And if you want to take the time to train Anakin Skywalker, now that you've suggested that Obi-Wan is ready for the trials, I guess we can fill that Padawan slot. So they basically let it happen after that. And from then, is that when they prepare to go to Naboo?
Yeah, the Queen decides to go back to, or the queen decides she was going to want to go back to Naboo.
Okay.
But that is not before they're in the council, or they're in the Senate chambers, this huge room. This is the first time we've seen this huge Senate chamber room. And she is up there pleading her case to get help from the chancellor, to get help for her planet. And now we have, of course, Mr. Palpatine back there, who is just a senator of Naboo at this point, as a reminder. He is behind her trying to manipulate the situation to set up his rise to power. And he's always playing the long game. He tells her to make the call to try and get Chancellor Valorum out because he's not fit to be chancellor. So she makes that declaration, and everyone is in an uproar and agreement, and to Valorum's dismay. So it really, I think one thing that these prequel movies did was show how great of a manipulator Palpatine was from the get-go behind the shadows.
Yes.
It was actually really cool to watch. Like, they did his character very
so scary. Well. That's the word, the best word to use for it, manipulative at its finest. You know, he is constantly pulling the strings of anything that has strings. He's got his hands on it, and even things that don't have strings, he's found ways to manipulate them. Yeah. He's constantly always a step ahead of the game, and you know, as much as we love to hate this guy, the guy is just,
I gotta respect him, man.
I mean, we're playing checkers and he's playing chess. Like, you know, this guy is a step ahead of the game every time. So right there, then and there, manipulating the system from the get-go to try to put good words on his behalf and bad words on behalf of the current Chancellor Valorum, whose seat who he intends to overthrow.
Yep.
You know, by the end of it all. So after that sequence takes place, we then start to make our way to Naboo, right?
Yep. The queen wants to go back just to be with her people.
Right.
And everyone is kind of against that, but she wants to do it anyway.
Right, because she's all for the people, you know, which is, you know, very great. You know, she wants to be there to comfort her people, because at that time period, they were basically being taken hostage, and you know, the Trade Federation had a lockdown on Naboo, and you know, it was no good. So she, you know, felt it necessary to return home to her people, which could be understood, but like you said, it can be seen from both ways, because as a safety point of view, that's not the smartest thing to do.
I mean, I see it from both angles. Right. It's one of you respect the leader for being there in person, but you also need the leader to survive the whole thing too. So I see it from both point of views.
Right. So right around the corner, you have the Gungans, who have been preparing this assault to basically take on these droids. You know, so with all the Gungans who have been repressed and shut out of Naboo ever since these droids showed up, I mean, it's time for them to surface, and they've actually made an agreement to help the people of Naboo, based off of, you know, more or less of a treaty between Padme, Qui-Gon, and a couple other diplomats that go to speak to the Gungans. So they've gotten the Gungans on their side, which is a huge plus. That's going to really make a difference when it comes to distracting a lot of the big forces on the battlefield. So on the battlefield itself, you have on one side the Gungans, who is a, you know, large force of native soldiers. You know, are very, very, you know, resourceful and willing to, you know, do whatever it takes to get the win, and have a, you know, an access to a, you know, an interesting technology that can really disrupt these droids. So, you know, they utilize that quite well. Whereas you have the Gungans, and then you have all the droids, you know, representing the Trade Federation army, and you know, that consists of all the droids, the droidicas, you know, all that. So, you know, and these guys come out in fleets that we've seen that, you know, one ship can drop like almost 50 to 100 droids. So these guys are coming out in numbers that are crazy. So unfortunately, the Gungans are almost outnumbered, and they completely are outnumbered. Let's be honest here.
Yep.
So all while you got that going on, you have the Gungans fighting the droids in the battlefield of Naboo, and then we go inside of Naboo. What's going on inside Naboo, Nate?
Inside the hangar, they send out a bunch of the pilots out to try and destroy the Trade Federation ship.
And the reason they're doing that is because that's gonna, basically control all of these droids. If you destroy the ship, you destroy the droids, essentially.
And it's also the blockade of the Trade Federation as well, the main source of it all.
That's right.
Or
that's
the
right.
the biggest obstacle of it.
Yes.
So you got that, and then but like you said, yeah, it's controlling all the droids as well. So
there's two birds, one stone.
Yeah.
You gotta take that thing out.
And then so you got the space mission as well, and then you got it on the ground. They're trying to find the Viceroy to capture him and his upper cabinet members, I guess, and make a new treaty and basically get out of here.
Yeah, because formerly the way the Viceroys and Newt Gunray, like, the way they carried out their business, it was very like, hey, we're here and also we're taking over. So obviously that doesn't really fly. So something's got to get taken care of with that. So they're trying to take care of that. You got the Gungans and the droids battling in the battlefield. You got this potential space mission that's on the horizon. So we got to get these guys up to that Trade Federation ship, and we got to get it destroyed somehow. So going into the hangar, this is where everything starts to bottleneck and it all starts to come to a head. So you have everyone trying to make their way towards the main hangar doors. All of them are all together. We have, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Padme, Captain Tanaka, and the rest of the, the fleet. So they're about to come up and go through these main doors, to which then they are greeted by who, Nate?
They're greeted by Darth Maul once more.
Yes.
Qui-Gon has put Anakin into a ship. He said, stay there. Luckily so, because he would be a sitting duck right now with Maul as again on the surprise again.
Right. It's always, a step ahead of the game, waiting for them, patiently, but
so a couple of different things happen in the exact same time. Anakin's ship goes into autopilot, sends him out into the space battle with them.
That's right, along with that space mission. So he's going along. He's
in the middle of it. R2D2 is with him.
That's right.
Good deal. So the hangar door, the big doors open up. They see Maul, and everyone leaves. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
At that point, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, but especially Qui-Gon, I believe he quote says, "We'll handle this from here."
We'll handle this. So
and basically, that means everyone else get the heck out of this room. It's about to get kind of nasty in here.
Yeah.
And so at that point, the robes come off, and the music is kicking up. The Duel of the Fates, one of my personal favorites, instrumentals within the Star Wars saga. And Star Wars history in general,
is a masterpiece.
It is. It starts playing in the background, just starts ramping up. And while these robes are coming off, Maul does one of the most insanely awesome emissions of a lightsaber. When he turns on the one saber, and this is when you really get, because you haven't seen the double blade saber before, you don't know it exists. So when you see him turn on the first saber, it comes out this way. And then when he gets his pose right, he turns on the other one. And that's when he reveals to you, there's two of you, but that's okay, because I have two sabers. And they're attached to one. So the first character to, officially wield a double blade saber, at least on the silver screen, that is.
Couldn't have had a better character to debut that on.
Yes, absolutely. No more menacing character, was more deserving, of that, that style, that saber. Anyway, so you have Maul lighting up the double blade saber, to which then Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are like, okay, well, here we go. They light up their respective sabers. Qui-Gon's green and Obi-Wan's blue saber, ready to go. And that's truthfully when the Duel of the Fates kicks off. So you have all these battles going on simultaneously, typical Star Wars style. You have the Duel of the Fates with Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul. The battle with the Gungans and the droids. Anakin up in space trying to take care of the Trade Federation. And then Padme just securing, the Viceroys. So a lot going on in this sequence. So with the Duel of the Fates, what ends up, transpiring between those three, Nate?
Let's take them one at a time. we'll break down each one, and we'll end up at Duel of the Fates. We got. Let's do the
battlefield first.
Let's do the battlefield. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So the Gungans start off pretty strong with their big shield generator, but the the droid armies, they get on foot, they come through the shield, and then it's on. And then that's when you were talking about they get pretty outnumbered.
Yeah, the technology they have can stun a lot of them. They have like this kind of like an EMP device.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say.
It's kind of like these little balls that are just basically little EMP grenades, and they can use them quite well. But unfortunately, just like you were saying, what it all comes down to in that battle was the supreme numbers advantage. I mean, it's just a numbers game. History will always repeat itself when it comes to the amount of numbers. It's just like, look at 300, no matter how good a warriors you are, unfortunately, you'll
get overwhelmed eventually.
It's, you can only fight so well before the numbers stack up against you, which is what happened against the Gungans.
So we'll leave that they are getting overwhelmed.
Yes,
so
they do well, but they can only do so well.
Yep. So we leave that one. And then we got the space battle.
Right.
We'll go there. Anakin, he's able to help the crew, and he actually accidentally crash lands inside the ship. So he's kind of in a tough situation, and they're kind of losing ships left and right outside as well. But they're doing some damage, but definitely not as much as they could be. So we'll leave that there.
If anything, they're actually slowly getting picked off one by one.
Slowly getting picked off. They're slowly getting overrun, just kind of like the Gungans are down below. So we'll kind of leave that there. Anakin's kind of in a tough spot.
And keep in mind, this is the first time Anakin's ever flown a ship or even been off planet. Keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, besides actually going from Tatooine to Naboo or Coruscant, but regardless, this is the first time he's actually gone into space and had to fly, and so this is all based off of his pod racing knowledge and his, let's be honest, his abilities with the Force, which is where it helps him and carries him through a lot of these situations, including the help of R2D2.
Absolutely. So gotta love our little buddy R2, always there to help.
He's one of the best.
So we got those two down. We got our third with Padme. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. We will they get to the Viceroy, well, actually with help from her bodyguard or her double, her decoy,
because they pulled an old trickaroo.
They think they get captured, or the Trade Federation thinks they've won and they've captured them, and then the decoy comes out and messes it all up for them. So now they're the ones that get captured, and it ends with Padme saying, we're going to make a new treaty here. So that they get them captured, they got them good to go for now. So now leads into the peak of everything.
Right. This is the moment that we've all been waiting for. So it all transpires and all bottlenecks to this scene right here.
Yes, it does.
So we got Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon doing their best to take on the Sith apprentice, Darth Maul, who's just doing everything he can to take these guys down. Now, as far as the style that Maul presents and provides to this lightsaber battle, it's almost unmatched. It's faster than anything we've ever seen before. He's quick. He where you would be like, how can two people lose to one how can two people not take on one person? Well, watch Darth Maul and you'll be like, okay, well, the way he moves and the way he utilizes that double-bladed saber, it's not only quite intimidating, but one of the most skillful, motions, the most fluid and skillful motions you'll perhaps see.
Absolutely. And it's a beautiful scenery, by the way. And where this is fought, God knows where it is, but
it's like some sort of like energy type chamber, was kind of like possessing the energy for potentially Naboo or its actual hangar itself. So there's a lot of energy in the background, all this power everywhere, and these long basically these rampways that they're jumping from and to and from and on and up. It's a great set of scenery. So
they're both getting, like, both sides are getting in some good shots in as well.
Yes, it gets to the point where Maul actually gets a little overwhelmed for a second, actually has to jump from one ramp to the other, and in the meantime, when I believe Obi-Wan goes to go after him immediately, Maul is able to kind of push Obi-Wan away and get him out of the situation, which then leaves Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul one-on-one. Obi-Wan is, further down. He has fallen to the lower levels, and he needs to make his way back up in this scene, which leaves Qui-Gon chasing after Maul, which, a lot could say this is what Maul exactly what Maul wanted. He was leading him away from Obi-Wan to get him into a situation where he can have him one-on-one. So, which takes them into this very, very unique setting. They go through this series of gateways that are, kind of controlled via this technology that, completely blocks off a path. So these series of gateways that open and close constantly, and they make their way through them. Obi-Wan the whole time is trying to, catch up with them, and he's just almost there.
That's what I was talking about last episode too.
Yes, if you guys
that
remember.
Force ability. Why didn't he use it then?
If Obi-Wan remembered that speed dash that they used at the very, very beginning of the film, it definitely would have helped him in this sequence. But unfortunately, Obi-Wan, he'd probably been shooken up a lot. He wasn't thinking rationally. He was just thinking, I got to get to my master. He needs help. So he just instantly started running after him. But unfortunately, he wasn't quick enough, because these doors that I was referring to that are constantly opening and closing, they close right before Obi-Wan can make his way into this final room that has a giant hole in the middle of it, almost like a shaft that leads downwards to an unseeable ending. So you have this giant circular room that is only one way in, one way out, unless you're including the hole itself. There Obi-Wan is trapped on the other side of this red barrier, which leaves Qui-Gon and Darth Maul to duel. Now, what takes place during this duel, Nate?
Well, first of all, I thought that this ending in fight, there is no music whatsoever.
That's right. Very, very great point. This is where there's no more theatrics, no more kidding around. This is
just a clash of the sabers, and it made it really intense, a different kind of intensity as well.
Right.
And Obi-Wan was able to get to the very last gateway that you were referring to. So he's having to watch this from like 10 feet away.
It's almost like watching it through a window that he couldn't go through.
Yep, an energy shield he could not penetrate. So he's watching all this go down. Maul is very, very aggressive.
Yes, and Qui-Gon is on the back foot almost this entire situation. And
Maul, he uses a move, and he more or less punches him directly in the face with the center of his saber.
Yeah, from where he holds his double blade saber, you got to think, there's a lot of room right there in between. So that gave Maul quite the advantage as far as, let's be honest, this is kind of like a dirty boxing tactic.
Yeah.
So he basically forces Qui-Gon's saber to the upright position. And with that being said, he's allowed to shunt it upwards, which gets Qui-Gon's saber behind his head, so completely exposing his face. And like you said, he uses the center of his double blade saber to essentially punch him, like you said, right in the middle of the face, which when that happens, that completely throws Qui-Gon's everything off. And this all takes place in 1 second. Like, this just shows you how quick Darth Maul is. This is you have to analyze this, for sure.
Put it in slow motion or something.
Absolutely, he's the only way to do Maul justice. So after he punches him in the face, he literally pulls a 180 and thrusts the saber behind him, and all while doing so, goes directly through the middle of Qui-Gon Jinn. And then you have Obi-Wan belting out one of the most heartfelt and just
felt that.
Yeah, the saber went through all of us while we were watching it, because it was so fast. We're like, man, Qui-Gon's I don't know, I'm kind of worried about it's just like, before you know it, he stuck you, and which Qui-Gon goes right down to his knees. It's almost like Qui-Gon really realized, he's like, dang, he got me. Like, the look on Qui-Gon's face is just like, that was a good move, man. Like,
so now by this point, Maul is very, very cocky.
Oh yeah,
he just killed the master of the two, so he's feeling good. So he's pacing back and forth, and Obi-Wan is enraged at this point. This is the closest I was arguably the closest Obi-Wan has ever come to touching the dark side, in my opinion, because he is
it could be
mad.
arguable that he pulled from it in this situation, because
Yeah.
that opening sequence of lightsaber clashes, once that final barrier gets released and it lets Obi-Wan loose, it's almost like letting a pit bull loose on like a burglar or something like that.
It's
It's
for
like
real.
he was ready to go
he
after him.
Yes, he was. And they both got some shots in. Obi-Wan was actually able to cut his saber in half. So he's only down to one now.
Yep. So literally, when he cut it in half, it's almost like he has one of these guys now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yep.
And then I think that was also that right there gave Obi-Wan a huge advantage, because Maul had to change up his entire style of fighting. Like he's used to two, but he was focused on using the one with his double.
Yes.
So he had to switch this up as well.
Yes. Completely threw his game off.
But he still was able to keep up with Obi-Wan with Obi-Wan's ferocity.
Right.
And then Obi-Wan got a little too cocky himself.
I think Obi-Wan was more determined to actually take him out with the saber itself.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Which is where Maul pulled
Saw
the force
that.
card. Yeah, he's like, you know what, you need to slow down. And they got into a clash with the sabers, and that allowed Maul to use his hand to shove Obi-Wan backwards with the force into the hole in the center of this room. So when Obi-Wan falls into this hole, he probably falls about 5 or 6 feet down and just barely grabs onto this
emergency light looking
thing. It's basically like a light that goes around, but there's one light around that wraps him in. He's just one little light, probably about this size right here. So he's literally got something like this to hold on to, all while at this point Maul is just toying with his prey.
He kicks his lightsaber down the shaft.
That's right. Completely says goodbye.
You're screwed.
Yep. Obi-Wan has no lightsaber anymore. He's hanging in the middle of this hole, and Maul, his hubris has never been more fulfilled. He is as egotistical as he could be. And he goes to the point where he finds it necessary to start toying with him by taking his saber and literally just throwing sparks at Obi-Wan's face, like just to add insult to injury. Yeah, I just killed your master, and now I'm about to slowly watch you fall into this hole. Essentially like toying with his prey.
So he's like, that's the best thing that could happen to you is you falling down instead of cutting you up.
He could have done anything. He could have just pushed him even further. He could have cut him. He could have did something. But at this point he wanted to watch Obi-Wan fall, which is
Obi-Wan. He had something going on his own.
That's right. This is the beginning of Maul's downfall.
He senses Qui-Gon's lightsaber is still by his master's body.
That's right.
And you see it start to move. And then it pans back to Maul, and the look on Maul's face is always very priceless, because you can tell that Maul knows something's not right. Something bad's about to happen.
Just to add a layer of intricacy to Maul's character, he does not blink but one single time in the entire film.
No kidding.
That's true. He does not blink, and we're getting to that part where he does blink. But during that scene, like you just said, Maul realizes it. Maul knows something is up. He's like, wait a minute.
Something's happening.
Yeah, something's happening, and this isn't part of my, my plan. And in that very instance, you go ahead and tell him what happens, Nate.
Oh, you want me to do it? Okay.
Yeah. I can't let it happen to my guy.
All right. One swoop, Obi-Wan is able to use the Force, pull himself out of that hole.
An epic front
grab his master saber, leap in front of Maul to activate the saber, cut right through the center of his body.
And at this point, it was done so fast that by the time Maul had turned around, Obi-Wan was there with Qui-Gon's saber, and
already going through his body.
Goes right through him, and that is the one blink. When he finally gets cut through, Maul goes from, and that's it. He says, and there was specifically a reason for that, because George Lucas wanted Maul to be one of the most seriously driven characters as far as like determination and, absolute, eyes on the prize. And there towards the end, he kind of steered away from him. So when Maul gets cut in half right then and there, right behind him is the hole. And unfortunately, both pieces of him, his legs and his upper torso, fall into this hole along with his saber, and to not be seen again until years later. And we will get to that in definitely another series of episodes. But Maul is gone. Maul is out of the picture. He is gone. He has been slain, cut down in his prime by Obi-Wan Kenobi, the apprentice. So with that being said, Obi-Wan goes over to comfort his former master, Qui-Gon Jinn, who's there on his last leg and his last breaths, and literally asks Obi-Wan, or basically tells him, let's be honest here, train Anakin Skywalker. That is his dying words.
Yep.
Obi-Wan has been tasked to train Anakin Skywalker, to which he agrees to, right there before Qui-Gon passes away officially. And he is, that Obi-Wan made the promise to his former master that he would train Anakin Skywalker. So There we go. That's
that
tying
is a duel
up
of the fates,
and tying up all the duel of the fates right there.
And to to cap off the other couple of things happening,
right.
Anakin is able to blow up the ship.
Yep, he's able to use the Force to get the right shot off, because where he crash landed inside the actual ship itself, he happened to be in a very vulnerable location to where he could access some very, very explosive materials that where he got the shot off, it would cause a lot of damage like it did, to which then gave him a very, very small amount of time to get out of there, which he barely did. But given the natural pilot that he's destined to be, he managed to make it out of there. So
which in turn, but it powered down all the droids. So every side
the Gungans and everyone within Naboo itself, because there was plenty of droids within Naboo still occupying the town. They had all been, completely, defunctionized, and which led everything into a very positive note. The droids fall, the Trade Federation falls, the Sith apprentice has been slain. At what cost, though? Unfortunately, Master Qui-Gon Jinn, his life was taken with the Sith apprentice himself, Darth Maul. But this leads us with Obi-Wan training, his new Padawan, Anakin Skywalker. We have there towards the end of the movie, the Naboo celebrating, basically they're being relinquished from the Trade Federation. And
you also learned that Palpatine is going to be running for the chancellor position. Yep, there you go. We're on the same wavelength there.
Yes, most certainly.
Yep, he's told, I believe it was Padme, that he was nominated to run as chancellor because they did take Valorum out.
So right then and there, with the seeds that he planted earlier within the film, he managed to complete his goal of Valorum, his history, and now the seat is open, the office is open. Palpatine is one step closer to getting in that seat that he needs to secure the galaxy. Slowly but surely, he's got no problems waiting. He's the master of long game.
Yes, but, he is.
We're going to get to some of those more plans of his, especially by the time we roll around into the Clone Wars series itself. We see a lot of this guy's plans. It's all over the place. This guy has got multiple eggs in multiple baskets.
Yes, he does.
So with that being said, it ends on a great note. We have Obi-Wan taking Anakin, Naboo celebrating, the fall of the Trade Federation, excuse me. So that's, in a nutshell, that, essentially sums up from beginning to end all of the events of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, guys.
Yes, thank you for sticking with us through these 2 episodes and going through Episode 1. Hope y'all have enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed going through it.
Yes, absolutely. It's been great strolling down memory lane, as we like to do, and we're going to continue to do so. We're going to try to split these movies, especially the ones on the silver screen, probably up into 2 episodes a piece, just so we can give good attention to all the scenes, so we're not glossing over important information. And so we get to, talk about, like I said, the really, really important juicy scenes and, get into those. But with that being
So
said,
yeah, next episode will be Attack of the Clones that we'll be
yes.
getting into. So if y'all got any questions that y'all or something particular y'all want us to go over with the first half of that movie, just let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, hit us up
Yes.
on the comments below. We'll be happy to do that. We want to talk about what y'all want to talk about. So
most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we got coming up?
All right, guys, with today's matchup of the day, we're looking forward to an intense back and forth. We're talking about the perfect sword versus the perfect shield. We have on one side Count Dooku as your counter specialist, to say the least, versus Mace Windu, who possesses all sorts of power at all sorts of levels. So Count Dooku versus Mace Windu, light side versus dark side, both saber wielding masters of what they do and what the arts they perfected. Nate, what's your take on this?
This is a good matchup.
It is.
I like this one a lot. Because I kind of think they were sort of almost at the same level when he was a Jedi. And I think they had just as much knowledge in the Force as the other one does. I mean, Mace had his own like style that he kind of created himself. And I think it was called Vapid or Vapod or something like that.
Yeah, something similar. It's a very interesting word, but it starts with a V. We know that.
Yes. And we know he kind of was like, he used the Force in a way where he was like kind of right on the edge of the dark side, but he was still grounded enough to not fully kind of immerse himself in it. And it was enough to actually beat Palpatine in episode 3, of course. And but Dooku, I think, was a lot older. So
I just literally checked that right then there.
Oh, the ages right there.
Yeah, Count Dooku is 83 years old, and Mace Windu is 50 years old.
What time? What time is that at?
I believe that's at episode 3.
Okay.
Like around during both their death or the age both of them died at, which is episode 3.
Okay, yeah, very, very close times.
So going off of what you said and based off of how he handled himself with the Emperor, I think because Count Dooku, I'll go ahead and say, as much as I truthfully don't like the character himself, I have to absolutely respect what he can do with the saber. And I mean, we saw how easily he can handle himself, not only against one person, but against multiple saber wielding opponents, simultaneous opponents. He's done it in the Clone Wars. He did it in episode 2. I mean, he's handled himself quite well numerous times in very, very improbable situations for most others.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, with the way Mace Windu handled himself against the Emperor, one of Dooku's biggest sneak attacks that seemed to do him a lot of let's just say serve a lot of purpose when it comes to getting the job done. Just like Palpatine himself, the lightning. Okay, now the lightning is a huge weapon of Dooku's. Now he doesn't use it frequently, but I feel like he uses it if he was to feel pressure.
Absolutely.
Mace, on the other hand, unlike a lot of other Jedis who would get more than likely overwhelmed by that lightning, I think Mace could handle himself very well. Because if he can absorb the lightning that the Palpatine can throw out, I know that Dooku's not throwing out anything that's tougher than what Palpatine can dish out, especially during that encounter.
Yeah, Obi-Wan absorbed it. Dooku's in episode 2, so Mace absolutely could handle it.
Right. So then there, it's like I said when I introduced the characters, you're basically talking about one of the most perfect swords with one of the most well-built offensive attacks versus one of the best defensive counter strikers. So does it come down to the fact where does Mace just tire himself out and Dooku waits the opportunity to get the opportune strike and to get the fatal blow? Because the thing is, Mace would be just as willing to go for that fatal blow. I think because he was going to kill Palpatine.
Oh, so, yeah.
There's no question on like what is Mace let's just say, for lack of better words, badass enough, or like doesn't give a hell enough to actually kill his opponent in this case. Where I think Mace would literally, if it came down between him or Dooku, he would, have no problem actually killing him. So same with Dooku. Dooku, would slay him if he had to. So I don't know. Based off of everything, I think, off of agility, speed, you had to assume that Mace is probably faster than Dooku, quicker, and potentially stronger. And in some ways and in some lores, he draws from the dark side, which some people like to consider him a gray Jedi. Not to go too far into that, but I don't really necessarily go like, because he's completely straightforward with the light side. But he has the capability, obviously, of digging down deep is the point that's we're trying to get.
And if he was any sort of like gray Jedi or like in the middle, kind of like that, he would not be on the council. So, right. I mean, he's pretty straight and narrow when it comes to, no, I am a Jedi, I'm on the light side.
That's what I say as well.
But let's see what when it comes down to it, who's killing who first? And I think I would have to go with Mace Windu on this one. I really do.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you 100%, just because unless, it's one of those things where if they were to have a battle 100 times, I don't think Mace Windu wins it every single time. No, but out
that's
of those
true.
100 times, I think you're looking at least over, a good, maybe about 55, 60 of those times, at least, a significant amount, like where Mace Windu takes it, because I think it all comes down to how effective the counter strike is of Count Dooku, and he's able to get that fatal counter strike blow. The sooner better than later for Dooku's sake. If he doesn't get it right off the bat, I think the longer the battle goes on, the worse it is for Dooku. And Windu has a lot to offer offensively and can, is a fortified tank when it comes to absorbing a lot of abuse as well. So
absolutely,
he stood toe to toe with the Emperor, and this was I think honestly, just thinking about the other day, when he faced the Emperor in Episode 3, there was no display of there was no need for the Emperor to pull his punches in any way, shape, or form. I think that was full-on Palpatine facing Mace Windu, and Windu just truly overpowered him, because Anakin wasn't there yet, so unless he felt him with the Force, but we have nothing that tells us that he did or anything like that. So legitimately, I believe that Windu bested Palpatine.
100%.
1-on-1.
100%.
And based off of that, I think if he can take him out like that, especially considering after what Palpatine just did to, all of the other Jedi members who were there for the arrest, and then Windu was able to take him down. It was just it proved the fact that he could handle him 1-on-1, which I believe he could do the same for Dooku.
Absolutely. So I think we have come to a conclusion in this episode that Mace Windu is your winner for this week's matchup.
Yes, he is.
But let
Good
us
job,
know
Mace Windu.
If y'all agree, disagree, have any different kind of points for each character.
Right.
Like, no, he should have won for this reason. No, he should have lost for that reason. We love to hear.
That's right. We love to hear any of it.
Yeah, I'd love to read through all the comments that y'all have on it. But just let us know. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We are really glad y'all have joined us once again. Just hit the subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications on when we post another video, and we got our anchor as well in the description below. So if you're listening on the go or anything, be sure to give us a follow on that, and we'll be looking forward to the next episode.
That's right, guys. And also make sure to, if you're on Twitter, follow us at the SkyGuys66. We just kicked up this new fresh idea with a SkyGuys Championship tournament where we take ours and your favorite Star Wars characters, and we pit them against each other in polled battle based off of your votes. So make sure you're on Twitter and voting for who you think's going to win in our SkyGuys Championship tournament. It's awesome. We're almost to the semifinals. We're trying to figure out who wins each's bracket, and then the bracket winners will face each other in an ultimate face-off. So make sure you're tuning into that. Also, with the Twitter, you can find updates for the upcoming videos and everything going on with the channel itself. But with that all being said, thanks guys so much for stopping by. Until next time, it's been Nate and Morgan, the SkyGuys, yours truly. Take it easy. Until next time, it's the SkyGuys signing out. Peace out, fellas.